Hello, welcome to SoGoodReviews.com, the YouTube edition, and we take a look at Benny Chan's second feature, Son on the Run, his first feature being the classic Andy Lau movie, A Moment of Romance. And this movie sets itself up as a lazy echo of his debut, actually. We see lovers destined to be together, kept apart by class, and the appearance of a motorbike. Yeah, it's quite embarrassing taking on this flick, actually. What it turns out to be, though, is, for one half of a flick, a nicely understated, very small story about reconciliation. And what happens, though, is that Benny Chan kicks his tragic melodrama into high gear for the second half of the film, and it loses much of its momentum. He does a nice thing by attempting to build from a peak in the love story rather than telling it from the beginning. And the script does a decent job of filling in the gaps as we roll along. There's the basic setups of the families, especially the father figures, that's clinched very nicely. And we get a look at how an actor like Man-Tat can grate when he's supposed to. But for this initial half of the story, it can be argued that Man-Tat is successful because he gets a reaction from an audience playing Max Mock's father. And Max Mock himself has sincerity in his eyes and not naive youthful love as the character played by Lau Siu-Ming argues. And you are on board with the story to quite an enough extent that you even put yourself in the shoes of Lau Siu-Ming's Mr. Chang. And you ask yourself if his view of shielding his daughter from a potentially bad financial future with Hung is in fact a logical choice. So Son on the Run definitely argues in a valid way that it's a meaningful romance to follow, especially when the structure calls for Hung and Mei to see who they are in each other's eyes when in adulthood. So when they meet again as adults or 6 years older, love and hate comes up to the surface, and a reprisal of something sinister, again the fathers and what they do to them. But also Benny Chan is wise to let us know, in a quite subtle way I might add, that it's a lack of communication going on as well between characters. Both Hung and Mei needs to wise up, basically. So Hung gets his act together as a talented stuntman and gets to take part in fatherhood. Then Benny Chan and company drops a bomb, and the movie takes a trip down extreme Hong Kong melodrama lane, and that lane isn't particularly pretty or noteworthy. It seems like the filmmakers had faith in themselves to deliver again akin to A Moment of Romance, and I applaud the attempt, and understated certainly was a key aspect to this prior film of Benny Chan's. But by taking us onto a trip with a personal tragedy, willing and unwilling sacrifice, done in a big way, Chan loses us. And efforts within this downslide for the characters rings of no sincerity. So, as a brief summary, there's no grip on the story anymore, just a feeling of a downer done really sloppily in the second half only. And that, therefore, sinks the whole movie.